everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to Azure Flash News. It is January 25th.
Yes, it is.
2019.
Cold.
Brr, man. Okay, so I've got some people coming from the product group out to visit some customers next week.
Okay.
They're getting here. They're getting here on Tuesday night.
Okay.
Wednesday, it's supposed to be a high of -11 and a low of like -30. Wind chills and like -40.
Seriously.
Welcome to Minnesota.
Oh my gosh! Come to think of it, so we have the same situation. We've got
Yes, you do.
Security guys coming from.
Yes.
Is it Tel Aviv? Is that where they come from?
Oh, I don't know.
I think
we're gonna have those guys visit my customer too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
so
so we've got some good weather for those of you.
Oh.
If you're getting kind of hot down there in, I don't know, Cancun
Naperville.
Naperville. Yeah, come on up. It's nice and cold up here.
Yeah, it's freezing.
Okay. So we have some Azure stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is an Azure show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We're not weathermen.
No.
We are not.
Well, but my dad always told me the weatherman is only good for telling you what's going on right now.
That's true. Fair enough.
And I can do that.
Well,
there's
true.
plenty of snow on the ski hill this morning. It's plenty cold enough.
It's plenty cold. Let's say that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Got some good stuff today. Some interesting concepts around data and a mashup of technologies.
Yep.
We've got some compliance. What do we call it here? Dashboard stuff available.
We've got new capabilities in Azure Security Center.
Much better.
Around compliance.
Well articulated.
Yeah.
We've got a preview of some specs around APM or Azure API management.
Yeah. New capabilities there. We haven't heard a lot from them lately, but that's a pretty big one though.
Absolutely. We've got some availability for some of our services that are being announced, expanded.
Yep.
An interesting kind of suite of products around healthcare and helping solve for some security challenges.
Yeah. Kind of a cookbook.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And last but not least, some interesting announcements around Visual Studio Code and support for some of our big data stuff.
Stuff and things, as my kids would say.
That's right. Stuff and
What'd you do at school today? Stuff, things.
What'd you work on?
Things. Yeah, that's kind of what I get out of my 7th grade.
That's kind of how my conversation goes too with my wife. How was your work day today? It's all right. It's good.
Fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
One
What'd
word.
you do? Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, honey.
At least we get a little insight into home life with Rick Weinberg.
Trust me, it is so
Rick and the Mrs.
exciting.
Weinberg.
So not exciting.
Okay. All right. And then Rick says, when does the baseball season start?
No. Well, they've.
How many days until spring training? Do you know?
Not very many.
I know.
It's coming up.
Pitchers and catchers won't be long.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So let's get started here. Do people know what the Jupyter Notebook is?
You know, I don't.
Do you?
The term gets thrown around a lot, and I know it's an awesome tool for data scientists to. It's almost. I almost consider it like in my mind, consider it like a workspace.
It is, and it's kind of a new. It's. Think of it like it's a new way to develop, test, and deploy your code in a natively collaborative way.
Sure.
Okay. So if you are, and this works really well in data science and in data workloads.
Yes.
Because we don't really have, like, you can sort of do code, check it in, check it out, deploy it, test it.
Yeah,
right. You can kind of do that, but there's a little bit more native of a format for that. And kind of this is a big movement here is notebooks.
Yeah.
And so we have, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this, we have a notebook service on Azure.
Yep.
It's free.
Yep.
Free, not as in free as in beer. I mean free.
Free like a puppy?
Free, no, not even free like a puppy. I mean, I have an 8-year-old puppy at my house, and he's been costing me money for a long time.
Yes,
No, not free like a puppy. Anyway, what you can do is you can actually go and develop code in Python and Spark and F# and I don't know. There's a whole bunch more languages you can use here. And you can write code in here, and basically it's like code blocks, so it's REPL-like.
Okay.
So you get a block of code, and you can execute that block of code, and you'll get an answer, and then you can go down to the next cell, which is kind of like another block of code. So think of a REPL as like line by line, but think of a notebook like paragraphs.
Sure.
And then you can run the whole paragraph and get the output and run the whole paragraph. And so a lot of times that's like a really nice way to have your code intermixed with the answers. And sometimes even whenever you're presenting a data topic, you might actually have your code in your notebook and have all the graphs right there. So, notebooks are really great.
So it's a great mechanism to, at each step, right? If you think about this like linking a series of steps together for a solution, at each step you can interrogate the inputs and the outputs to see, is what I expected to see coming out of it, or is what's going into this next step what I expected to see going into it.
That's right. And so you can then graph in a data science, you might want to produce a graph. You might want to graph the intermediate steps, kind of like you're saying. And so anyway, so notebooks are a really great way to do this. This is all built on Jupyter. And
Jupyter with a Y.
Jupyter with a Y, yes, not the planet, although I think it references the planet, I guess. Probably. But anyway, so if you are a data developer, you've got to check out Azure Notebooks. Really, really cool. Okay.
Yes.
So the article here is about Azure Data Explorer.
Yes.
So I'll just briefly mention what Data Explorer is.
Okay.
Sounds like it's a tool for exploring your data, and that's not exactly what it is. Not sure I like this name too much, but I'm over it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. Data Explorer is a append-only, unstructured, semi-structured, columnar formatted, query optimized query engine. Okay. So what that means is that it's scale out, it's crazy fast.
Okay.
You can input all kinds of data into it and then report on it. So think about log telemetry, IoT, logs. Yeah. Logs are a really great way. And
diagnostic logs from the VMs, anything where,
append only. So don't think about it's not transactional at all.
Okay.
It's append only, so you just want log exhaust going into it. And there's a lot of use cases for this. If we give up on the transactional nature of an RDBMS and say, what if we have a database that's just, because it is a database, if we just have a database that only does appends, then we can actually do crazy amounts of ingestion and querying. It's really fast, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what Data Explorer is. So what we're announcing is using Azure Notebooks for querying Data Explorer.
Using KQL.
Using KQL, which is Kusto query language. Kusto is the internal code name for Data Explorer. So we've been using Kusto for I think 5 or 6 years internally. So like all of the log telemetry out of Azure goes into Kusto.
And we talked a little bit about Kusto, I think it was last week, right?
Yeah, we've definitely been talking about it.
I mean, it's a very SQL-like language. It's easy to
query
interpret.
Languages.
It's easy to read. I had no problems. I can decipher what's going on if I look at a Kusto statement, right?
Here's an example here.
But what's cool about this, and I think we touched on this last week, is you actually identify the table that you want to work with first, or the source of data, right?
It's really nice.
Because one of the things with SQL that you mentioned, one of the shortcomings is that IntelliSense doesn't really work all that well. When you say select star or select whatever, you have to have a from and then table name. Otherwise, it's like
select what from what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So a lot of times you end up writing select star from the table name, and then you go back.
Right.
Get rid of the star and use IntelliSense to find your column.
Column or column, comma. Yeah.
It was. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
Whoever, Mr. SQL Server, who invented that, love it.
Right.
Could be better. Anyway,
absolutely.
So KQL, you can see here, there's an example for those of you watching on
YouTube.
You can see this example. It says storm events. So think about Apache Storm. Storm events, summarize, state count equals count by state, sort by state count. So we did a summarize, like a group by essentially.
Okay.
We sorted it by the total number of counts, and then we took the top 5, and then we rendered a pie chart. So all that in one thing. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, think about that for a second. Like, that's kind of a weird mashup that in the query syntax, we have the visualization.
Yes. But what's funny is, I think you and I both assumed that this was storm, as in the technology, and not storms that are occurring literally by states. So like severe storms, like hurricanes.
Well, I don't know. Let's look.
Look at the pie chart.
Oh, yeah. Texas, Kansas, Iowa.
That's how nerdy we are. So by default, when we hear storm, we don't think about rain. We don't think about hail.
Hurricanes.
We don't think about. We think about technology. We think about Storm and Apache and Kafka.
And of course, the funny thing is, the number one rule of data visualization is you're never supposed to use a pie chart. But that's what everybody does in their demos. I love it. Anyway, okay. So now you can go in, and it's called KQL Magic, I think is what it's called.
Magic.
And so then you just use %% KQL, kind of like you do %% SQL if you're in a notebook. and you want to run like Spark SQL or something.
Yep.
And so then you can come in here and run your KQL, do it right here. So you can actually have, I mean, like you think about it, you could have a KQL report, report that shows everybody what they need to know about whatever telemetry.
Absolutely.
And it's just a set of KQL queries that people can scroll through. And so not only did they see the report, if they say, how did you derive that?
Right, exactly.
The query's right there.
Here's everything that went into making the sausage.
It's really cool. So notebooks are awesome. Check it out, notebooks.azure.com. Go create one. It's awesome. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, on and on. I'm doing lots of data explorer stuff with my customers.
That's rightfully
There are so many new workloads coming up that are like telemetry ingestion, like logs. Like, what if you have an order system that you need to take care of your logs, or the telemetry from IoT?
And we've got a guest in our audience today, Mr. Vandermark.
Yeah.
So
hey, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. You know, and I would ask this to both you guys. How many customers can you think of that are just sitting on piles of data that they can't use because they don't even know how to come at it, right? They don't know how to approach it. They don't know how to they try to structure it. Stop. Don't structure it. Leave it unstructured.
Yep.
Put some, method to your madness on top of it. Start doing things like this with Jupyter notebooks. Take these, these feeds, put it into a data lake. It's just, wow. You exploit that data. Just like I tell everybody, exploit the cloud, right? Don't use the cloud. Don't take advantage of the cloud. Exploit the cloud and exploit your data too, please. So that's a great mechanism by which you can do it.
Okay, like we have totally.
I know.
Got on. This one is cool. We've gone on way too long. That's all right. All right, moving along.
Regulatory compliance dashboard and Azure Security Center.
This is riveting,
now available. Okay, so we knew this was coming. Okay, so I have been looking at this for a long time. I can't remember who brought it to my attention. Somebody showed me, hey, by the way, in private preview. Oh, you know what? Mad shout out to Jesse Morasic, who I work with. He was the one who originally brought it to my attention, that we had this new compliance thing coming in Security Center. So it was in private preview, sorta. You had a link that you could click on, and if you clicked on that link, it would take you into the portal with this capability enabled. What's really awesome about this is regulatory compliance. So if you go into Azure Security Center, for those of you that don't know, it's your one-stop shop for security alerting, security notification, security score, security risk assessment, right? It's all these things.
And our threat analytics that we bring on top of all the telemetry.
And the cool thing about it is, if you've got agents, it's not necessarily, so you turn it on and the whole subscription is covered, okay? So what we've added now is the ability to improve your compliance posture, right? So let's say HIPAA compliance. So we've got a couple that we're starting with. So currently the supported standards are Azure CIS, okay, PCI DSS 3.2, ISO 27001, and SOC TSP. So literally, you can go to the Azure Security Center dashboard and you can see
how you're doing.
Here's what I always tell people when you're looking at dashboards or metrics or what a KPI is. I don't want to see what's green. I don't care about green. I care about red, okay? So most importantly, you see what's red. You see where you're out of compliance, and you can click into it. It'll tell you.
That's awesome, man.
I know. So across the top, there's different tabs, like PCI DSS 3.2. You click on that tab, it's showing you where you're out of compliance. Isn't that literally? And this is just a start. So imagine we're going to add HIPAA. We're going to add, all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It will expand this as customers give us feedback where they want to be compliant.
Find me an on-prem data center that can do that has this kind of dashboard.
That has a dashboard that's going to tell you where you're out of compliance.
And by the way, what did you have to do if you were already in Azure? Let's say that a year ago you were like, we're going to the cloud. What did you have to do to get this capability?
Nothing.
Zero.
Nothing.
You have it today.
Exactly.
You're ready to start using it. Okay.
And the cool thing about this too is this kind of bubbles up into that. We've talked about this, I think, with Doug Splinter around the kind of the Azure security score, right?
Yeah.
It kind of tells you what your all-up score is, and not just for Azure. We have it for other digital properties as well. And you actually get a comprehensive score across all your digital properties. But this is a very complementary capability to say, here's your score, and oh, by the way, here's where you're out of compliance within these particular regulatory requirements.
And this also, there's kind of a quick note in here, if I can click on it here, that that Azure Security Center Compliance Dashboard was soon integrated into Compliance Manager. And so Compliance Manager kind of helps you keep track of all these compliance things.
Yep.
And Azure Security Center is going to feed data in there for you.
It's just another Another tool to make your life a lot easier when it comes time to be audited or something happens. Boom, here it is, right? And you almost don't have to do a thing except when something's red, go fix it.
Yep. Awesome stuff.
Super cool.
Go check it out. Azure Security Center, it's free for the first 30 days. Go and turn it on.
Yes, please,
because
please.
you can get advanced threat detection on SQL databases, on app services, websites. I mean, I had somebody ask, well, why can't we just do this in our own SIEM tool on-prem? And I'm like, we can't send you the telemetry stream from app services to your data center. Like, that would never work.
Right.
And we need to integrate our cybersecurity threat center into this as well. So like, it has to be done in the cloud. Send the alerts to your on-prem SIEM, which is what we recommend. But let us do this in the cloud for you.
The raw telemetry, the raw.
Yeah, we can't send it to you.
No, and that's the other thing too, is imagine how much information we would be fire hosing at them.
Right. Now that's what I mean. Like, we just can't send that to you. No. You wouldn't want it. Anyway.
No. Okay. So this is awesome. Go check it out. Go try it out. Go look, especially if you have a compliance requirement for any of those mentioned, CIS, PCI, ISO, and SOC.
PCI, like every retailer?
I know, right? Exactly.
All right, here we go.
Exactly.
All right, here we go.
All right, so this was something that caught your attention. So the Open API Specification V3 support.
Yeah, so like Open API Specification, I mean, I think we're kind of talking about the Swagger documentation.
Yeah, basically.
That kind of stuff. They don't really call it out here. But what we're talking about is, well, tell you what, I'm going to back up.
Okay.
What is APIM?
Okay, so APIM, or APIM, or affectionately called APIM, for those of you that use the
product. At least in Azure it
is API management. So Azure API management. What it does is it establishes, for lack of a better way to put it, it establishes a proxy between a consumer of your endpoint and your endpoint. Okay.
Yeah. An HTTP API endpoint.
Yep, it's layer 7 based. So basically, in effect, what it does is it gives you the ability to, for example, only allow certain people to have access to your APIs
by a key, maybe, or AAD.
Or AAD, absolutely. You can set thresholds and quotas, so a certain customer can only access your API a certain number of times.
5 times a second, or whatever.
Or you can throttle them. It allows you, if you're being DDoSed, to basically shut off access to a particular key. So if a customer, even if it's a legitimate customer, if they're compromised and they start attacking your API surface,
using their key, you can
basically shut them off, and they'll just start getting 403s. Okay. In addition to that, APIM is really powerful because, let's say, for example, you've got an old SOA implementation and it's all XML based.
Yep.
Your customer wants your customer wants JSON, right?
Everybody wants JSON.
But you don't want to keep writing one-off APIs to support these one-off customers. What you can do is, in the response of your payload, you can transform it from XML to JSON before it goes to the customer without having to make modifications to your API itself.
It's just a SOAP to JSON. It's like a button.
Yeah, literally. Convert by payload and remove these headers. There's a bunch of different things you can do. So it's a very powerful tool to enable, and you can actually expose them, a collection of APIs as a product, right? And then you can combine in different ways to create different products that you can then expose to your consumers.
And I would add one more thing, and that's version management.
Yeah, definitely.
So in other words, a lot of times we do blue-green deployments and APIs where you just, instead of, especially if you're doing containers, instead of upgrading in place and just like replacing the code that's out there, you might actually deploy a new copy in a side by side, and they might even not really be versioned. Like, it's just that this one is my API v1 and this one is my API v2, and we have two of them running side by side. But we don't want customers to have to deal with that,
no.
And we don't want to deal with DNS. We don't want to we want it to be more than just DNS here.
Yep.
You want to be able to send everybody to API management, and API management can then help you with these versions. And you can define versions and then promote them to production. And so you can have my API markgarner.com/v1/v2 or whatever. That whole, it can do all of that for you. It's really good.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway.
So to your point though, so we've previewed support for the Open API Specification v3.
Yep.
It's the latest version and it's open source, right?
Yep.
It's an open source standard describing your APIs.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay? We didn't want to invent something new.
And so there's the implementation of the feature is based on the OpenAPI.NET SDK.
Yep. Okay? That's right.
And so you get the benefits of having it within the SDK, but at the same time too, it's based on standards. So it's you know what to expect. You can trust what you're going to get back because it's based on a standard, the format, the structure.
So I want to add one thing. So like if you have developed an API and you're sitting there thinking, okay, I need to upgrade my API to v3, like guess what? I don't think you'd have to now.
Right.
Right? Because you need to, that's a format for the that's a format for the description of your API.
Yep.
So if you put API management in the front, you can use that to provide, like, this is two things for API management. One is to be able to import a v3 specification. So like if you have developed an API that's using v3, then you can say, hey, API management, I want you to manage that API.
Exactly.
If it's v3, it'll do it now. That's one thing.
Yep.
The other thing it'll do is it will broadcast or emit, or I don't know, whatever word you want to use, v3 specification JSON. It's discoverable via v3, thank you. And so if you have an older version and you want to upgrade to v3, you can do it by API management.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's very cool.
So
just,
cool stuff.
It's again, we don't talk about it a lot, but it's definitely the natural evolution of what you would expect us to be keeping up with these standards, and especially the open source standards that everybody's agreed upon.
Yeah, I've been writing kind of a little internal app just for a little bit of fun to kind of help search through some stuff. And after you've deployed a web API, I mean, this is just me not being like a big developer. I haven't done a whole lot of development. My background is in data, but whenever you have an API and you're trying to like keep it up to date, you kind of go, you know what I really wish I had? I wish I had like a proxy in front of it so that I could so that I could replace my API and deploy it side by side. And I'm like, oh, that's why we have API management.
Exactly what APM's for.
Yep. Okay. On to the next. Oh, this one is short and sweet, but important. So first of all, in many of our regions, let's see here, Azure messaging team is. I just want to make sure I say this right. Yes. Oh, wow. So we have availability zones.
Yes.
Availability for, okay. All right. So Event Hub and Service Bus, kind of the same technology under the, kind of same technology under the covers.
Yep.
In a subset of our data centers, we have what are called availability zones. You want to talk about availability zones?
So an availability zone, within an Azure region, we have multiple data centers, okay? And with those multiple data centers, we didn't necessarily give you the ability to spread your workload across the data centers. So let's say, for example, so we can defend against a top of rack failure. We can defend against an host OS going unhealthy. But the challenge we had historically was we couldn't defend necessarily. Let's say somebody cut the power supply to a data center with a ditch switch.
Yeah, one of these facilities.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, we've got backup generators and we've got a bunch of other stuff, but there are things that can happen, right? As soon as you think you've got it covered, something happens you didn't expect. So what we've done is with each data center, it's got its own data, it's got its own power, and it's got its own cooling if it needs it, right? The cooling.
And by data, you mean network.
Correct, network. Yeah, exactly. So what we've allowed now is with availability zones, what you can do is you can actually spread your workload across those data centers that make up a region. So it's still in that region, but you may have 2 copies. Let's say you've got a VM scale set. You may have some of your VMs running in data center A, some of them in data center B, some of them data center C, okay? And they're all load balanced for you. That's all taken care of, just like we've historically done with our ILBs, our internal load balancers, or ALBs, Azure load balancers. But it's load balanced across those locations. And of course, because they're close in proximity and they're running on dark fiber, you don't see a performance hit, you don't see any kind of issues, any latency. It's just that you're now much more resilient and available than you were if you were to just deploy that into a single, if your workload were deployed into a single data center within a region.
Yeah, that's right. So, so what we have now is we already had Event Hubs and Service Bus availability zone enabled in a couple of
in 3 regions.
In 3 regions. Now that list is longer, and I think this looks like the whole list of availability zone regions, by the way, I think.
It's so now extensive now.
We've got East US 2, West US 2, Europe,
France Central, because that's the second France.
Oh, that's the second France.
Yeah,
that's great.
So the 3 regions originally were Central US, East US 2, and France Central. Okay.
France.
Oh wait.
The other France, wherever it was.
Yeah, sorry.
But now we've added France Central.
Correct. What's nice about this is, as you can see now, though, it's that geo-redundancy, too, as well, right? So now you've got East US 2, you've got West US 2. So you've got the ability, right? So you've got the ability to make sure you've got a DR plan, you've got your high availability, you've got all that stuff bundled
your HA plan is the data center availability zone, and your DR is going to the other data center.
Different region, exactly.
Awesome.
Yep. So very cool, very exciting.
So go check it out. And as far as I know, it's available on standard. And when you create it, it's just a checkbox.
Right.
It doesn't even cost anything. So whenever you create an Event Hub namespace, it's the namespace level.
Yep.
You say, make this namespace zone aware, check the box, and it just does it. I mean, it doesn't.
No, exactly.
So just do it.
Yep, exactly.
Just do it.
It's very cool.
I'm going to paraphrase Nike.
Just do it.
Just do it. Okay. Okay.
You want to get sued? Don't you mean the Shannon boy?
Yeah.
Do you want to get sued? If you are a Simpsons fan, you will absolutely recognize the reference that I just made to Treehouse of Terror. When Groundskeeper Willie, they had an episode called The Shinning, not The Shining. This is my life. This is my world. I'm sorry.
Rick is a huge.
I'm just a
Simpsons fan.
Well, I'm an idiot savant. Okay, I'm an idiot.
Idiot. I was gonna say.
Stuff gets stuck in my head. I can't get it out. I don't know why.
It's okay. Some people quote,
Aristotle and Socrates.
Well, yeah. Some Seinfeld.
I quote Homer.
You, Homer Simpson.
Oh, I'll do Seinfeld. We can do Seinfeld. Absolutely.
Wasn't there a Seinfeld episode about that?
Absolutely.
There was a Seinfeld episode about everything.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there is nothing wrong with that.
He didn't get the quote.
Oh no, I know which one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So healthcare, cloud agents, and virtual patching, which of course we had a big discussion about what the heck virtual patching was. But anyway, why don't you talk about this?
So security for healthcare through cloud agents and virtual patching, right? So ultimately, what we're talking about is there's some challenges that have been identified. So slow information velocity, right? In critical health situations, information velocity is key, right? Because you want to be able to respond to things in a timely fashion. You want to be able to, so I mean, literally, if you're making a medical decision, there are cases where minutes, seconds, those things can matter, right? Without a doubt. So as soon as all sources of information related to that particular subject or that whatever's happened, that moment, that event are available, you have to make a decision, right? So, I mean, outdated infrastructure can cause problems, okay? So what we've got...
And in healthcare, it can cause big
problems, right? So there's a healthcare cloud security stack for Azure, HCSS, okay? Yep. And basically what it does is it takes healthcare entities up a step and helps them modernize the IT infrastructure while still maintaining focus on compliance and security, okay? Yep. So what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we want to help you modernize, but at the same time, we understand that you're in this industry that's heavily regulated, that's heavily controlled, and we want to keep you in compliance, but also help you maintain or afford you a level of availability, resiliency, redundancy, durability that you don't necessarily have on premises, okay? Yep. And so with that comes it's kind of a mashup of capabilities, right? So you get a full implementation of Qualsys vulnerability management, right? So you get these cloud agents, Trend Micro Deep Security. It enables extensive environment configuration to suit your needs, right? Very cool, a unified dashboard for security protection, but it's tailored specifically to healthcare, okay? Yep. So it's not a generic dashboard where you're like, oh, I got to go do this, 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 and this. It's very specific to the healthcare space, okay? It also helps for, it's optimized for Microsoft Azure, right? Yep. Which makes it flexible, scalable, right? So different operating systems, different data types, different repositories. And last but absolutely not least is vulnerability management, right? Yep. Because not only is data accessibility and velocity of data important, but vulnerability is key, right? Yep. Because in a data breach scenario, if you sign that HIPAA release form, but if that nefarious actor is not in a business associates agreement with the healthcare provider, that's now a data breach. Yep. And vulnerability is key too, exposing all this critical sensitive information or tampering with the system, right? Yep. So there's a lot of different tools. So the solution uses actually several Microsoft services. So Azure SQL Database, data encryption, Key Vault, load balancer, Azure Monitor, network security group, storage, and WAF. So the web application firewall. So it's a composite. So it's like a toolbox offering where we take all these products and serve it up.
Yeah, and I just want to add that this is all kind of coming out of this partner called, let me make sure I get this right. They actually have a pronunciation here. Exentit.
Dude, I remember this coming up a while back, and we couldn't remember we weren't sure how to pronounce it.
So Exentit, I just looked this up just over here.
Okay.
Exentit is an IT firm specializing in cybersecurity compliance.
Exentit, yes.
And I think this is their kind of package offering. This HCSS is their package offering around saying, we can come in, healthcare company, and we can provide you a solution that encompasses all this stuff. Yep. It runs on Azure. Yep. So if you're, United Health or something like that, you might call Exenta to come in and help you implement all this Azure stuff because you're a big Azure customer, whatever.
Right, exactly. So bada boom, bada bing, I believe is the answer that my cousin Vinny would give you in response to a question.
He would. Okay. We got one more topic real quick. Okay, so big data is a very much an open source centric world.
And it's big.
And it's data.
It's hard to manage.
It's lots of data too.
Right.
It's very big.
Yep, absolutely.
It's very data. And so Visual Studio never really played in that sort of open source space. I mean, a little bit. We kind of had some Python tools and stuff, but
the tooling was
people were not too thrilled about it. People in the open source community were like,
I'm not going to use Visual Studio. I'm going to use MATLAB, or I'm going
to use IntelliJ, or I'm going to use I don't know, whatever. So or Atom or something like that.
Right.
A text editor. They were just doing kind of JavaScript programming. So so Microsoft came out with Visual Studio Code, which is kind of an Atom-based code editor.
Yep, absolutely.
And with extensible plugins, and there's all kinds of plugins for VS Code. So you can actually do all of your .NET development of VS Code without using Visual Studio anymore.
Absolutely.
Although I tend to end up in Visual Studio, but
I do, anyway, but it's just I'm a creature of habit.
I know, me too.
Unfortunately.
But I try and use Visual Studio Code just to kind of try and break some old habits. But anyway, Visual Studio Code. I can actually just bring it up here. Visual Studio Code has a really nice extensibility market here.
Yep.
And so you can actually import things like make it easy to log into your Azure. You can have ARM template helpers, which makes a tree view of your ARM template that's in the dialog. Azure Functions, HT Insight. Oh, look. It's an extension for HT Insight tools.
Oh my gosh, what did you have to do to have that show up?
Wow, I just searched in the marketplace. HT Insight.
There it is.
And there it is. And so you can see here that I actually installed it. And then once you install this, it comes back, and you can see here it's really kind of fun. They always have these like little screenshots that show you what this thing does.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, these like, and so you can actually do Hive querying and some other stuff here live, interactive querying to HT Insight from Visual Studio Code. So if you are kind of an open source developer, which most big data tends to kind of center around big, open source, so that's fine.
Absolutely.
But if you want a really nice code editor, because Microsoft, we've been doing this a long time.
We have. Yeah. We know a thing or two about IDEs for developers.
Turns out we know a little bit about this. And like IntelliSense and stuff. I mean, IntelliSense. Where would the developer world be today without Microsoft IntelliSense? I mean,
if I had Microsoft all that,
Microsoft kind of invented that. So anyway, so it's really good here. Go check it out. I'm going to go back to the article because it mentions a couple of things. You can sign into your HT Insight clusters, make that easy. Hive and Spark jobs. That makes sense.
Yep, absolutely.
Interactive responses. Anyway, so that's
Very cool.
Anyway, it's really cool.
So what's cool about this is you're seeing less and less use cases where you've got to have multiple tools.
Right.
You know, in this tool, out this tool, in this tool, out this tool. Now back into this tool to do data forensic. You know, stop. Okay, you've got a one-stop shop for all of this interaction with so you're more efficient, you're more productive, you're more collaborative with the other team members because you all have a common tool set that you're using.
Yep.
Absolutely, this is fantastic. This is
cool stuff.
Awesome.
So if you've never tried out Visual Studio Code, it's free. You can download it. Go and download Visual Studio Code. It's a directory-based solution structure.
Yeah.
So in other words, instead of like in Visual Studio, it was all about the SLN file, and files can be all over the place. It's not the way it works in code. You actually go to your command line, switch directory to the directory you want to look at, and you say code space dot. In other words, the local directory, and it'll fire up with all of the folders that you are in right there where you fire up Visual Studio Code. Okay,
very cool.
That's awesome.
We
have good stuff.
Yeah, good announcements.
We're kind of through the holiday lull.
Yep.
We're back into the big announcements.
Absolutely.
Excellent, exciting stuff. Rick, where can people find you if they have questions?
As usual,
about
you
this
can
stuff?
reach me at rick@microsoft.com, or of course you can hit me. I typically am the one. Not hit me. Direct message me. Ouch! Ouch! Ouch!
Sorry, Rick.
Or you can direct message me at Azure Flash News. I typically am the one that's monitoring the direct messaging and the Twitter handle. How about you?
You can catch me on Twitter, although I don't check it very much.
Okay.
At mgarner. I'll try. I'm kind of like too old for Twitter.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, at mgarner on Twitter, or you can email me. See, I'm of the email generation.
Did you ever see Logan's Run?
No.
Where they have the crystals in their hand, and after a certain age, you were euthanized because you were too old. I think the age was like 50 or 55.
Uh-oh.
Your crystal might
I know.
You're glowing.
It's
Your crystal's glowing.
I know. It's almost my time. Put me to pasture.
Right.
So I use email. Like my kids are like, email, what's that?
Right.
Anyway, so you can email me, mgarner@microsoft.com. Happy to take an email there. No problems.
Totally.
I guess that's it, man.
Absolutely.
It was a good show.
Thank you to the MTC as usual. Thank you to Emily Mackmiller, and thank you to Mr. Splinter for making all this stuff happen.
Yeah.
And thank you.
And thank you to our special studio audience.
Yeah, right, Joe Vandemark, another fellow CSA.
Yeah.
Always appreciate a little happy joy. And
if you happen to be in the MTC on a Friday at 9:30, you're welcome to pop in. We don't mind a live studio audience anytime.
Love it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I guess that's it.
Yeah. So per usual, we look forward to talking to you same time, same place next week. Until then, keep your fingers on the keyboard and your head in the clouds.
See you guys.